Jan and Daryl, thank you so much for being here, taking this time out of your busy schedules to talk a little bit about Oveus and Clemson and CARES Learning Partnership and the work we do and the collaborations. Thank you so much for being here. Um, Let me start by just kind of bringing everyone up to the current state. We have really been collaborating with Jan, with you and June and Jane and the whole Clemson team there um, for, I believe, 7 years now, 7 or 8 years. And it is really, I just want to say thank you again because not only has it helped us uh, change culture in schools and a variety of other things, but it's also more importantly helped us positively impact young people's lives. And from me to you, and I'm sure Daryl feels the same way as well. It has changed our lives. It has really informed our work and the things that we do, not just in anti-bullying, but in the other work we deal with in social emotional leadership and restorative practices. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the kind words.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So I also want to take a moment to thank Richard Persing because I don't know, Jan, if you know this. Richard Persing from La Sierra University and the Center for Conflict Resolution, who has done a lot of work with Oveus and rolling that out in SDA schools, a lot of major projects early on, introduced this to me 7 years ago. I was a teacher in one of the Adventist schools. He came in and presented to uh, administrators and outlined the Oveus, and I was sitting there and I was like, wow, that's a pretty awesome program for the stuff we're trying to do on just trying to build character and those types of things. I called Daryl. Richard supported me and Daryl to come to Clemson to get the training. And 7 years later, we're here having an interview to talk about our work and those types of things. So I'll give a shout out to Richard as well. So Jan, talk to me about the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program. Obviously, we know that um, it's the Institute of Family and Neighborhood Life, I believe, at Clemson. Talk to me a
Yes.
little bit about that and tell us about that, how that all works.
Sure. Well, the Institute on Family and Neighborhood Life, which for short is called IFNL, is part of Clemson University. And the mission of IFNL is to generate, share, and apply the knowledge that's needed to strengthen ties between families and communities. So the Institute works really starts from the premise that strong communities support strong families, and then vice versa, and that both are necessary for the healthy development of children and youth. So the Institute conducts empirical research, performs policy analysis, develops and evaluates programs, and then we also provide technical assistance and community education. Within that institute is Safe and Humane Schools, which I'm the director of. So we oversee dissemination of the internationally known Oveus Bullying Prevention Program and other initiatives related to bullying and violence prevention. Our mission at Safe and Humane Schools is to create safe and humane settings for children and adults by promoting positive connections and reducing bullying and violence. So at Clemson, we're the North, Central, and South American home of the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program. So we serve as the training hub and really take responsibility for development of all the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program resources. We provide training and technical assistance. And really, as being part of Clemson University, it has us in a unique position to teach educators and professionals how to prevent bullying by providing tools, skills, and techniques to provide this evidence-based response to bullying. But in addition to bullying prevention, IFNL has other projects that include studies on adolescent dating violence, suicide prevention among youth, Momentum Bike Club, and Clemson's Sustainable Community Project. So it's a variety of things that the Oveus program is one of.
Yeah, that's exciting. I knew with our partnership, obviously we've collaborated with you guys for a long time, and I knew there was a lot of things under that umbrella. So I appreciate you taking the time to break down all the different areas. And I did hear you correctly that the Oveus work specifically, and I know it came through from Norway and Sweden and all of that, but with the work that Clemson has done specifically, that training is international. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we are responsible for all of the Americas, and then we also have done training in various other sections of the world, Germany, and we've had some trainers from China. I mean, kind of pretty much all over. So it is definitely an international program, and we do have trainers all over the world.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so from the expert, that's who you are. You are our expert today. Why is
Okay.
it so important to address bullying?
Ah, well, there's so many reasons why it's really critical to address bullying. So probably first and foremost is that bullying is peer abuse, and there's short-term, long-term consequences for any youth who are involved, whether it's the one who bullies, the person who's being bullied, or even the bystanders who see it or know that it's happening. Research consistently shows that bullying can have immediate as well as long-term consequences, and that includes things, health issues, mental health issues, decreased academic success. Bullying is really a complex behavior, and it can cause academic problems, social problems for youth. If it's prevalent, it can even affect the climate of an entire school or an organization. Young people might begin to dislike being there. They might feel like the adults around them don't care, or maybe they have little control over the situation. Um, So in addition to that impact on youth, bullying prevention is really also a wise investment. Research-based bullying programs can save money for schools. There's decreased costs for treatment for health conditions, for mental health issues that are related to bullying. There's a reduction in lost revenue for students who might be leaving a school or a program because of bullying. There's also a risk management benefit. The number of civil suits that are brought by students and parents really has grown. So avoiding those potential liability suits can be a big cost saving. And also just thinking about societal benefits, the larger community benefits when students feel safe at school, but also when they feel a sense of belonging in a variety of other settings as well. So bullying prevention can result in decreased dropout rates, increase in kids staying in school and becoming productive members of society, and even decreased involvement in the juvenile justice system. And probably the last thing to think about is laws require us to address bullying. While all 50 states have laws related to bullying, at present, there's no federal law directly that addresses bullying, but in some cases it overlaps with discriminatory harassment, which is covered under federal civil rights laws. So thinking about it from that aspect,
Okay.
knowing the negative outcomes, knowing the benefits of having a research-based program and considering the laws and all the negative things that can happen, ignoring it or just dismissing it as kids being kids really isn't an option any longer.
Definitely, definitely. So Daryl, thank you for being here as well. We've worked together for many years, and we started this work doing Ovea's training with the Mentorship Institute. And then I asked you to come on as a consultant, Daryl, to help us with the work we're doing at the CARES Learning Partnership. And both of us being Adventists, proud to be Seventh-day Adventists, when you hear Jan talk about why it's important to address bullying for our Adventist audience, how does that align with the SDA community? Some of the things, what comes to your mind when she's sharing those things within the Adventist community? Why is it important for us as well?
Well, I'll be happy to answer that question. But first of all, I just want to thank Jan for being here. This is, she did that so gently, and she did that so professionally. But she is the director of Safe and Humane School at Clemson University. She just graciously, but that's who she is. That's what she does.
Thanks, Daryl.
So, didn't want our viewers to miss that. So to answer your question is this: the Seventh-day Adventist Church is extremely proud of its institutions. it's educational institutions. When it comes to Christian institutions, educational institutions, it's second only to the Catholic Church for the size and the scope of its educational institutions worldwide. Its medical mission is on par with anyone and everyone, and it's been the medical and educational work that has really projected, taken the gospel to the world, is meeting people where they're at. So you remember, Cliff, when we first went down to Clemson, and periodically we were standing in the back of the room saying, I can't believe they have all this information. Are you kidding me? I'm kind of quiet and reserved and not very forthright. I'm
Right.
kind of, so I'm bouncing off the walls because what Jan just explained is that every Adventist in any continent knows that having an educational institution that is addressing needs that are non-academic is central to what Adventist education is about.
Mind, body, and spirit.
Child,
Mind, body, and spirit. Yeah.
yeah, that the whole child is what we stress in every training, every educational course, and the Oveus program, they are in line with that perfectly. The research is in line. It verifies that. One of the things that I would say from a spiritual point of view, Jesus was talking to his disciples and he corrected them. They're like, listen, these folks weren't with us, so we asked them to stop doing good things. And Jesus was like, yeah, other sheep I have that are not of my fold, leave them alone. So one of the things that I really appreciated about Jan and June and Jane and everyone else that we've been in contact with is that everything that they are doing and have done, that they have never, ever, ever been in any way contradictory to Seventh-day Adventist principles. And so I would give a bold-faced plug saying that at the end of the day, we need to be using these materials. We need to be using, why recreate the wheel if someone already has what you're looking to do? The other piece that I would share is that, and again, speaking specifically to our Adventist audience, just being direct, because that's who I am. But I also understand that the word missionary is an old word. And in 2021, missionary is equivalent to bigot. When individuals become missionaries in communities, oftentimes what happens is we want to take a culture or we want to take an ideology and we want to make people different than they are. One of the things that is very clear when we're looking at the Oveus programming is that it says, listen, use our information, use our research, and use it in your context. Oh my goodness, what? Take the great information and use it in your context? That is a living and breathing example of how to do work in India, how to do work in China, how to do work in Pakistan, how to do work in France, how to do work in every place in the United States. Keep it in the context of the individuals that you're serving. And so from that standpoint, I've worked, I met you at Mount Vernon Academy, right?
Right.
Decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in our churches, I've worked in our schools, and the idea of meet people where they're at, meet their needs, and do things that they feel they need to have done. That is the way to be beneficial. And I love the name, Safe and Humane Schools. So you can be safe and it not be humane. Yeah, yes, it can be. And it can be humane and not safe. But let's have safe and humane schools, because those are the schools that impact the whole child. And that is in full alignment with the Seventh-day Adventist mission, period, full stop.
That's great. That's great. So we're talking about this program, Jan, and we've said, you know, the importance of it and why to address bullying, and Daryl uh, showed why me and him are so passionate about partnering with you guys. So what are the key, some of the key components of this Oveus bullying prevention program?
Sure. Well, one of the best tools for decreasing problems associated with bullying is to implement an evidence-based prevention strategies, like those that are in the Olveus program. It's the program's a framework, as Daryl mentioned. It's a framework. It's strategies for creating systemic change to build a school climate that discourages bullying, but also addresses it if it does occur. So considering the goals of the program are to reduce existing bullying problems among students, prevent new problems from happening, and achieve better peer relations. And these goals are pursued by restructuring the school environment. So it reduces opportunities and rewards for bullying, it encourages social behaviors, and it really builds a sense of community. To do this, the Olveus program addresses the problem of bullying at multiple levels, including school-wide, classroom, individual, and community strategies. So I could go on forever, but I'll give you a real brief overview of those. The school level components include establishing a bullying prevention coordinating committee, which is a team of administrators, teachers, non-teaching staff, and possibly even family members. The committee addresses issues related to fidelity, program implementation, and really is the driving force at the school for the program. School level components include training and ongoing consultation for members of the committee and all school staff, adoption of clear rules and policies about bullying, and a yearly administration of the Olveus bullying questionnaire. And then there are three classroom level components. One is defining the rules against bullying and enforcing them. The other one is holding class meetings that focus on bullying prevention, but also peer relations and other pro-social behaviors. And then the third one is family involvement through classroom or grade level meetings that are held periodically through the year. And then the program also provides guidance about how to integrate bullying prevention themes across curriculum areas. And then despite the best prevention, bullying will likely still occur. So we also have individual level components for dealing with those bullying incidents. The Olveus program encourages staff to intervene when bullying is witnessed, when it's suspected, and when it's reported. And we provide training so that all staff are able to intervene, to follow up, and also to communicate with families. So we have the on-the-spot intervention, which is kind of like a teachable moment. And then there's follow-up interventions, which really provide staff with actions to take either when they witness it firsthand or when it's being reported, or if they suspect that it's happening, but they haven't observed it. So essentially the individual interventions are designed to stop the bullying from happening, but also to provide support to the students who are bullied and to educate all students about what the behavioral expectations are. And then finally, there's the community level components that really include involving community members on your committee, developing ways that they can support the program, and just collaborating to spread the bullying prevention message to the community setting. Because we know bullying doesn't stop or doesn't start at the schoolhouse doors. So in addition to prevention and reduction of bullying, involving the community really can help students understand that bullying is not really just a school issue. It spills over into all areas of their lives. So, those are the key components of the program, which was originally developed in the 1980s. Those core components have not changed, but the program really has evolved to be relevant in schools today. And it's also been adapted for use in community youth organizations. So, but those core components remain.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, we heavily use the CYO because we have smaller schools, and when you guys adapted it for like your camps, your summer camps, your YMCA's, and that, That's where me and Daryl talk about taking it to another level within the Adventist school system, because the Adventist schools, many of our schools are one teacher schools, they're K-8 schools with under 300 students. That's the majority of them. We have several that aren't, but that smaller environment and being able to do that, that CYO program worked well for us. Um, you mentioned that it is unique because it's not a curriculum, and
Right.
you use the word framework, and we appreciated that. I think that goes well with uh, when you talked about earlier, when Daryl, when you talked about us being able to take the information and then put it within our context.
Yeah.
When you have a framework, you can do that. You can adjust it, but still keeping fidelity of those core components and then just adjusting it. Uh, so in thinking about that, Jan, if I were to ask you what kind of separates Oveus and makes the prevention program unique, what would you let me know?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that the Olveus Bullying Prevention Program was the first bullying prevention initiative of its kind. It was first implemented by Dr. Olveus and first evaluated, as I said, in 1983. And it's the most researched, best known bullying initiative available today. But beyond that, it's really unique in that it is a framework for creating that safe, positive climate, but it has an intentional focus on addressing bullying. It's effective because it incorporates what researchers have determined to be best practices in bullying prevention. Thinking about the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine put out a report a few years ago, Preventing Bullying Through Science, Policy, and Practice. And that report states that school-based programs with multiple components that involve all students, but also offer targeted interventions for those who are at high risk for bullying or involved with bullying, are more likely to be effective. So the Olveus program does this by focusing on preventing bullying, but also intervening effectively if it does happen. The program is designed for students in K-12, which is another unique factor. There's a lot of other programs that don't have that full K-12 initiative. It also involves all staff, all adults, all students, parents, and even the community in bullying prevention efforts. So it really is looking at that whole child aspect. All students participate in most aspects of the program, while those who bully others or those who might be being bullied receive additional interventions. And then, kind of as we've already mentioned, although it's traditionally a program for elementary, middle, and high schools, because it is that framework, the core components and the materials that go along with them can really be used in any setting that children and youth attend on a regular basis. And it can easily be successfully integrated with other universal prevention efforts, because we know that there's no one single program that addresses the entire scope of behavioral issues facing a school or a youth organization of any type. So being able to do that with this framework in a systemic way while maintaining fidelity to the program is really a key to success. So really helps make it a unique program that can fit really into any school setting.
Yeah, that's why we like it so much. It's the flexibility, the framework. Daryl, come to you. When she speaks framework, that's a word that uh, it gives us butterflies, right? As project managers, as system changers, as trying to institute and create culture in organizations, as helping schools get from their espoused values to values in use. So Daryl, I'm well aware, but talk to our listeners and viewers about how that uniqueness and that framework aligns with another framework that we utilize.
Gotcha. I'm happy to do that. And I know that you're speaking specifically about the pragmatic framework.
Yes.
And that pragmatic framework, for our listeners, the pragmatic framework is a clear program, process framework that guides from beginning to end. That pragmatic framework, which was actually put together by Dr. Bill Fillmore, with his work with AT&T, IBM, and it is part of the most researched framework when it comes to systems change in business that is available in the United States. When you read the IBM transformation, the AT&T transformation, it is the pragmatic framework that is guiding those transformations. And where did we see that those processes were followed to the T? Yes, the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program. So to see that the information and the processes that are outlined in this amazing bullying prevention program, that if they aligned with the systems change efforts of the largest transformation in the world at that time, IBM and AT&T, we knew we were in the right spot. And then from an Adventist standpoint, our reality is that whether we're looking at the pragmatic framework, whether we're looking at the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program, the pieces that Jan just outlined, it reduces opportunity, prevention of new incidents. It's a fully comprehensive program. Something that all Adventists are familiar with is the phrase great controversy. Mm-hmm. The great controversy is a framework that talks about how God created everything, how man fell, how God intervened to give us the power to be better to ourselves and to each other, how redemption happens and how restoration happens. That great controversy framework, everything that is outlined with this Oveus program fits nicely into that framework. Everyone has bullying behaviors that they've exhibited at one time or another. Bullying behavior is human behavior. But the process to redeem individuals, to transform individuals, is not just about focusing on individuals who are exhibiting the behavior. It's about focusing on the whole system from beginning to end, so that the bystanders, as well as those who are part of the behavior, either receiving or giving, that the whole framework is acted upon. So I don't care if you're in Uganda, Rwanda, Guatemala, Ireland, Czech Republic, each one of our programming initiatives in Pathfinders, community service, youth ministries, all of those can benefit from taking and using and implementing with fidelity a program that research has shown to be correct, which our own doctrine says is not only appropriate, it is redemptive, and the work is 90% done for you.
Yeah, that's the one thing we don't talk enough about. That another thing that we got so excited for as people that are constantly creating presentations and worksheets and scenarios. And the beautiful thing about the Oveus program is you just need willing people that are trained, and everything is there provided for you.
If you would just say that again into the mic, you just need, what was that? Willing people that are trained.
People that are trained.
Yeah, I'm going back on mute. Go right ahead.
So Jan, as I let you go, and again, we're coming towards the end of our time here, and I know you got a lot of stuff on your plate. But if you had to outline the specific aspects, if you're looking at the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program, what specific aspects do you feel are most beneficial to mitigating bullying?
Well, considering that the Oveus program's really a coordinated collection of research-based component, delivery of all the components is really required for fidelity. But as we've alluded to several times, there's flexibility in how they're implemented. So there's not really a quick fix to the problem of bullying. To reduce bullying, it's important to change the climate and the social norms with regards to bullying. So looking at successful bullying prevention efforts really require continuous attention and should be woven into the school or organization's environment to become a daily part of life there. And that's really what the Oveus program aims to do. That begins with an awareness of bullying. So adults working with youth should participate in professional development that raises awareness and increases knowledge of bullying issues. They also need to be trained in how to appropriately intervene and respond to reports of bullying. So those are important. And while they're essential, before you can even step into a room full of students or youth, the number one thing really is to create a climate that doesn't allow bullying to occur. So that means getting to know the young people, developing relationships with them, teaching them rules and expectations, spending time discussing what bullying is and what to do about it, and also developing social emotional competencies so they have the tools to deal with problems and stressors that they might face. All of that can happen through class meetings, which are an integral part of the Ulvaeus bullying prevention program, either class or group meetings. Creating that climate also means stopping all inappropriate behavior, whether it's bullying, conflict. It might be rough play that could turn into something more. So being able to consistently respond to bullying so that the young people know it's not acceptable. Again, these are parts of the school-wide and individual components of the Ulvaeus program that are really important. So creating that climate that's really rooted in shared values and responsible student participation helps young people feel safe and supported, but having that positive climate's not enough to prevent bullying. So looking at research that tells us that bullying must be intentionally addressed. You can increase, really say, well, while bullying prevention programs can contribute to a positive climate, a positive school climate isn't going to address bullying if you don't intentionally address bullying. So
Yeah,
it's important to do that.
Yeah, that's important for, I believe, faith-based schools because they pride themselves on positive climate. We're saying our prayers. We're starting with worship. Everyone knows everybody. We love the Lord. We love Jesus. But what I hear you saying is, if that's great, you're not saying anything against that.
Nope,
But bullying still occurs, and because it's human behavior, and to address it, you have to have an intentional approach to addressing it.
Exactly.
And that's what Ulvaeus, that's what the program does. So that's wonderful, and I think it goes directly to why we love instituting this and rolling this out. The other thing, and I just want to clarify so that people don't just hear it from me when we go into the schools. I'll say this here in the interview. You don't come in with Ulvaeus because there was a bullying incident to solve a problem. What this is a comprehensive approach to address a climate, to build a climate and have a long, sustainable systems change approach to creating a climate where bullying doesn't exist. So that's not something that, because we get this a lot. And so I'm going to ask you if what I'm telling people is correct, and you can affirm me or not. I'll take it. I'm big enough to take it. When I tell a principal, I hear what you're saying, and I'm sorry that happened, but to bring us in, we have to train everybody. Everybody has to be on the same page, and this is a multi-year approach, ongoing, to really have the success that we're saying that you can have. Am I okay saying that?
You are absolutely okay saying that, and that's exactly right. Okay. It's a comprehensive approach that's needed so that all educators, all staff, even parents, families know that bullying is unacceptable, and really it empowers them to address bullying behaviors. So the program isn't designed to address a specific behavior that happens at a specific time. Now let's bring in the program. The program is designed to come in and to train and to change that climate of the school so that when a problem does arise, you know how to effectively address it and pretty much just move on. And it just becomes a daily part of life at the school.
Okay, so I feel good. I feel good. Yes. I haven't been, it's hard. You know, people come for you for help and they have a situation. They want you to come in and get rid of the bad kid, and trying to tell them that students are students and we have bullying behavior, and we try and keep it as a verb, get rid of the noun. right? And so we have students that all of us from time to time distribute bullying behavior. And by bringing this program, getting people trained, keeping them trained, and having a sustainable effort, then you're equipped with the tools that know how to recognize it, address it, and prevent it from happening in the future. Um, just want to make sure I was on the right page
Yes,
when I said that.
exactly. So while the program can help with that individual issue, because there are individual components to it, it goes well beyond that. And you really are looking at a commitment to make a systems change in a school.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Well, I'm looking at our time. That has brought us towards the end of our time. But before I leave, um, Daryl, we have rolled this program out in several different schools, several. Um, and I won't have you go through the whole list. You know, we've done it in Southwest Region Conference, we've done it at Only, we've done it in Maryland and DC, we've done it in Ohio, and I'm not going to list all the schools, and I'm not going to ask you to do that. But as I close, Jan, I want to share with you um, that for our work, and that is, you know, Adventist schools exist to introduce families, specifically students, but families to Christ through an Adventist world lens, right? Because Baptist schools exist to introduce people to Christ. So an Adventist school isn't any different than a Methodist school if we just say to introduce people to Christ. So an Adventist school specifically exists. They're built, they stand to educate students and introduce them to Christ through an Adventist worldview.
Mm-hmm.
The Oveus program has allowed Daryl and myself and the Cares Learning Partnership to give those schools the tools they need to have, as they're doing that, to have a climate where Christ's character can be modeled by implementing the strategies through the Oveus program. And I just want to say thank you for that. And because I know Daryl has been sitting here waiting to scream, because staying silent when he gets excited and talking about changing people's lives and giving thanks. So Daryl, I'm going to allow you the opportunity with this last question. Here's my last question for you. I hope you're ready. How much do you appreciate the support of the Institute on Family and Neighborhood Life at Clemson and the work of Jan and her team? How much do you appreciate that? Go ahead. That's your last question.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at 400. They have equipped and empowered us to do in a way that we could not do without them the work that the Seventh-day Adventist Church and School has been doing long before we got here, but in a way that is so effective that whether you're in Australia or Jamaica, Indonesia or in China, whether you're in Detroit, whether you're in Louisiana, or wherever you happen to be, there's a framework that can be customized to deliver the information and the gospel of the kingdom, the information about the great controversy, the how to make it through the day that you're living right now. The Oveus Bullying Prevention Program allows our teachers and our staff members to do that in a way that is exceptional. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give them a 400.
I thought so. I thought so. Jan,
We
any
certainly
parting
appreciate.
thoughts? Any parting thoughts?
Just thank you very much for inviting me to share information about the program, and thank you for all you do to support students and for your support of the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program. You're doing great work, and you've done a great job taking that framework and making it work for your schools. So keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us. And this concludes our interview. Thank you so much.